Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, I'm in Spain. It's meant to be sunny outside, but it's not. I ideally would just be outside getting a tan, sunning my balls, but I'm in here indoors watching Paul Saladino's What I Eat in a Day for Longevity in 2026. So I'm going to be giving you guys my reaction as a self-proclaimed health expert, health quant. I think quite a few other guys in my niche have made some reaction videos to this and have their own issues with it. I've just seen the titles, the thumbnails. I haven't actually watched anyone's videos, but at the very least I know I'm a bit late to the party and to the controversy that goes on in this video, yet I'm still going to make one because I do things on my own timing. So without further ado, let's get into what Big Paul eats every single day, because that's just the most interesting thing I could possibly watch.
This is what I eat in a day.
I'll say, I don't think he will be eating the meat raw, but if he did, I'd be super impressed.
2026 edition. I'm going to show you guys everything I eat in a day.
Yeah,
I'm
cooks
going to
it.
take you through every gram of protein, fat, and carbohydrate.
These are normie metrics. Like anyone who actually truly understands nutrition beyond what they teach in, just public education and actual indoctrination schools will understand that protein, fat, and carbohydrates are they're a given. You eat animal foods, you're going to get them. They're not really the most important thing when it comes to excelling your health.
Hydrates. I'm going to be honest with you. I've added some new stuff to my diet recently that I'm going to show you in this video. Stuff that you might not expect me to eat, but I'm always trying to be healthier. I'm always trying to feel better. And I'm always trying to eat as varied a diet as possible while kicking as much butt as possible.
For sure. I don't know what he means by as varied a diet as possible. I think it's just like a given, logically, if you're eating your natural diet that already includes a natural range of variety, you wouldn't need to try vary it anymore because you'd feel satisfied just eating what you're eating. But I agree, he's trying to feel his best, be his best self, which every human is trying to do. So that's also kind of a bit of a given, but whatever, I respect it.
At the same time, at the end of this video, I'm going to show you the full calorie, macronutrient, and micronutrient break.
Yeah, so even macronutrients, micronutrients, that's not the full picture. Truly the most important thing once you actually have those micronutrients covered is ensuring that your food is comprehensively nutritious from a three-dimensional perspective, meaning it has all the cofactors, the enzymes, the bacteria to help digest and utilize the food. Without considering that, you're just going to be leaving a lot of nutrition on the table, and most likely you're going to be destroying a lot of nutrients, probably through cooking.
Down of what I've eaten in this day. I'm going to tell you how many calories I ate total, how much protein.
Yeah, bro,
fat,
calories are just retarded. Who cares?
Show you all of the vitamins and minerals for what I eat in a day. So let's get into it. I'm going to begin by showing you what I eat first thing in the morning, right when I get up, before I go to surf. Let's go. First thing I do in the morning is I start with a glass of water. I have reverse osmosis water, and that is what I mix.
Yeah, so reverse osmosis water. I mean, maybe some of you guys have heard all the theories and ideas and takes on water being a solvent, being dehydrating, not actually giving you much of any bioavailable hydration. But reverse osmosis water, whilst it doesn't have any of the toxins that typical tap water would have, it is not very utilizable in the body. It's much better to shower in it. It's much better to take a bath in it, wash your dishes with it, but it's unstructured, it's unmineralized, and it's doesn't have any actual bound nutrients to it. So your body's not going to be able to do much with it. You're going to end up pissing out more than you're actually getting from it. Which studies show this with direct tap water. It's the numbers are when you're drinking a liter of water versus a liter of milk versus a liter of juice, you're going to be pissing out the largest amount of urine and subsequently largest amount of minerals with that water consumption versus milk, juice, everything else.
Creatine into. It's important that your creatine is pure, third-party tested.
For sure, I agree. Important that your creatine is pure. Everyone online, I always see these normie gym bros saying that, yeah, bro, creatine is the most tested compound on the planet, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. That being said, there's still studies that show it causes digestive discomfort, runny stool, stomach aches, cramps, bloating, all of these things, obviously, because it's in the dried powdered form. It's not actually anywhere nearly as bioavailable as raw creatine from raw meat, which raw meat has. If you cook it out. And then the other thing to consider is Paul's stuff might be okay because he's probably gone through the due diligence of testing it, but most creatine on the market has like heavy metals, mercury, for example, and then a lot of crap aside from the creatine that you think you're actually paying for. So instead of going through all that effort and ordering something online and like portioning out your foods in different little isolated compounds, why wouldn't you just eat raw meat? Obviously he wants to sell a product, it's whatever. He's got his own personal morals and values of how he wants to set up his life and provide for himself. If it means fucking over people and giving them subpar health advice, then that's what he wants to do.
And there's a trick here that I want to show you guys if you get bloating from creatine.
If you get bloating, you get bloating from creatine. Yeah, bro. The thing that gives you bloating must be so good for you.
Make sure that your creatine is fully mixed. You don't want to be drinking gritty creatine at the bottom. You want enough water to mix 5 grams of creatine. You're going to need at least 300 mLs or around 10 and a half, 11 ounces of water. And if the water is a warmer temperature, it will mix better. Most people have heard of creatine.
See how disjointed it is? Like you're adding this reverse osmosis water with this dried, dead, unavailable, isolated creatine compared to just eating a natural food that gives you that and then also gives you everything else you need.
But here's my quick creatine optimization protocol. 5 grams of creatine monohydrate daily from a third-party trusted source. Fully mix it in water. Make sure there's no gritty creatine at the bottom. That's what causes bloating. If you want your creatine to be better absorbed, you want to take it with carbohydrates, with 50 grams of honey or some fruit or some fruit juice. And the last thing, there is some evidence that shows that if you take creatine after a workout, that might improve its effectiveness slightly. It's not a big deal. In this case, I'm going to take my creatine before I surf. I'm not using this post-workout, but if you want to optimize, that's the 4th thing with creatine. Make sure, or at least try, see if creatine after your workout improves it. Never dry scoop creatine.
Do you see all those points he just gave, how retarded it is that he's optimizing his life and his eating patterns and habits in order to optimize the usage of an isolated compound compared to having foods that optimize his life and work around him, if that makes sense, if you guys are picking up on it. Like clearly, fundamentally, this is just not the right way to be going about your nutrition and health.
Not a good thing for your gut and bloating.
To some degree,
you know, way to do it.
maybe
so
better
what's in
than
the smoothie?
McDonald's, I don't
raw
know.
Milk, frozen, wild organic blueberries, grass-fed whey protein, some organs, raw.
Yeah, frozen blueberries, it's okay. It's going to be a lot more just like sugar than any of the actual enzymes that you could get aside from it, you know, when it's actually fresh, because obviously the freezing process is pretty destructive around that. And then I think, what else is he saying? I think he blends it in like a stainless steel blender, so that's a big risk of oxidation for a lot of the ingredients. And the other shit he's putting in it is his fucking products that he wants to sell. It's whatever.
Glyphosate-free honey. I'm going to put a pinch of sea salt in the smoothie, and that's what I do.
Maybe we'll make a video on my take on salt at a later time, but I have virtually had no salt. Nah, that's a lie. I would have had the occasional salt on accident, but in the last 5 years, it has not been a part of my diet. And when I have had it, I haven't felt great. So yeah, I would disagree with a lot of people on that.
So I mix it all up in the blender. I've got the stainless steel attachment from Vitamix to minimize plastics. And that is what I drink pre-surf.
It's pretty cringe that he's like say, plugging the name of his blender. Who cares?
You sell. And yeah, that's right. That's why I built these products, because I actually use them every day. I wanted to...
No, bro, you built these products so you can sell products and make money to fund your lifestyle and to fuel your lack of self-worth. No, lack of fulfillment. Yeah, probably lack of fulfillment because you feel like you're getting some sort of sense of progression by constantly reaching new metrics of money on a screen. Ultimately, he's not really providing for anything meaningful. Like, I get it, make money to provide for your family or loved ones, but Paul's just getting a bigger house that he can, like, I guess, jerk off in and have a better view. I don't know.
To get good quality organs, because it's hard to get tested.
Like, he's not doing anything that's really helping people a lot. It's just
there was
a bit of a
such a
grift.
problem with whey protein on the market. They were all contaminated, full of artificial sweeteners, artificial flavors.
Yeah, bullshit story. Who actually looks at what they sell in supermarkets and thinks, okay, yeah, I need to make a better alternative for the masses, when clearly the answer is just a complete paradigm shift and actually changing up every single thing you're doing compared to giving people a slightly better version of an already shit thing. Like, this is not charity, this is just him making money.
And binders and gums. I didn't want any of that stuff. So Really
Fuck
proud
that, yeah.
of this one that we made at Heart and Soil, the grass-fed whey protein. It's definitely the highest quality whey protein we could find anywhere. And then when it comes to honey, I don't want extra pesticides in my honey. So I'm proud of our glyphosate-free raw honey at Lineage.
The honey sounds
so
nice.
yeah, of course I use the products that we sell because that's why we built them. So that's my smoothie, and then it's off to surf. You can probably see here that as I'm putting stuff.
If you wanted to make an actual good smoothie, you would probably just do, I mean, I'd do a milkshake. I'd do raw milk, raw cream, raw honey, raw unheated honey, a couple eggs, and then maybe if it's like later in the day, add in some fruit too. That would be nice. Some organic fruit.
In the smoothie, there is a very noticeable large stainless steel coffee machine in the background. It's not my coffee machine, although if you're gonna drink coffee, the Lineage Regen Roast is hands down.
How the fuck are you saying that you made these products that you, like, so you have something safe to consume, yet you're making products that you wouldn't recommend someone consume? Just like, clearly there's no consistency in the bullshit he puts out. But yeah, I guess we'll hear what he has to say about the quality of it.
On the best I've ever seen. It's organic.
It's the best he's ever seen. It's organic. So basically, guys, if you didn't know, coffee is a toxic, poisonous bean. That's why it gives you the stimulant effect of the high cortisol and the adrenaline-like energy boost from it. Obviously, it's not real energy. It's just putting your body in a stressed state. It's essentially borrowing tomorrow's energy for today. So it's all well and good that it's like organic and well-sourced and heavy metal free and whatever, but it's just like a slightly less unhealthy drug or a slightly less harmful drug. Still a drug at the end of the day.
It's regenerative, it's shade grown, whatever.
Yeah, it means fuck all.
Coffee machine is actually my girlfriend's.
Bro, like, how the fuck do you have a brand around health and a brand around diet and you're preaching that you live this optimal life for longevity in 2026, yet your girlfriend can't even follow your lead and is still addicted to a drug that you'd recommend against? So it's like, one, he's clearly got no leading capacity in his relationship. He's got really weak frame, you know, that's how you'd put it. And then two, the diet and health of his girlfriend clearly isn't that great, because if it was, she would have no need to have that external stimulant and that stressor of caffeine to be able to get through the day, if that makes sense.
She drinks coffee, so don't think I'm cheating and not telling you.
Bro, it doesn't
coffee.
mean anything. It reflects really badly on you too.
That's hers.
All that honey is going to get oxidized. I actually wonder whether day-to-day Paul actually does use his own products, because I don't think he's that stupid that he actually thinks they're optimal. But then he's also the kind of guy that definitely would lie to himself and kind of go along with it, keep his conscience at rest, I guess.
They look like a lot of fruit, but I'm pretty hungry when I get back from surfing. I've been out there for a few hours. Most of the time, the second breakfast is eaten around 10 a.m. for me, so I've been up for a while. I usually get up around 5 or 5:30. I get out to surf by 6, 6:30. I'm in the water for a couple hours, so I'm getting the calories in. And no, I don't worry about...
Yeah, what the fuck? Like, that's disgusting. The amount of carcinogens on that, like the heterocyclic amines that will actually be degrading his DNA, breaking down and mutilating his DNA, it's disgusting. There's no fat on it. It's burnt to a crisp.
Lactose or fruit causing diabetes. There's absolutely no evidence for that. In fact, there's evidence to the contrary. All sorts of fruits and fruit juices improve endothelial function, decrease oxidative stress in the human body, improve DNA repair. So I think fruit is a healthy thing when it's eaten in proportion to your activity level.
I'll also say, like, consuming that much salt, it essentially becomes a stimulant like coffee, because it is causing to a degree damage to your body that you do get that boosted, heightened stress state from. So maybe, you know, he's cut out coffee, but he's still a salt addict.
Definitely thinking about organic cantaloupe. Glyphosate is a huge problem, the pesticide. Over $11 billion in lawsuits against Bayer Monsanto, the makers of Roundup, glyphosate, that are alleging that glyphosate is connected to cancer. So I'm looking for organic food. Obviously, I would urge you guys to do the same. What you invest in your food, I think, is the biggest return on investment you can get out of anything.
For sure, I agree. Spend all your money on food. I've done it multiple times. I've spent my whole net worth on food in one day, many, many times.
Higher quality food is going to cost you more, but you're supporting farmers that make higher quality things that support you and your family and your health.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Not being healthy
that is so
is the worst thing in the world.
Overcooked.
What's the point of having more money if you're not healthy enough to enjoy it? Also carbohydrates, I've got yucca.
Well, yeah, that's like, I'd say that exact same thing to him. Does he not see the irony of it? He's got all this money from the businesses he's running. He's got this freedom in where he's living and the finances he's making, yet he's still sacrificing his health to continue to make more money. So he's sold his soul in that sense.
I've been experimenting with different carbs.
And I agree, Paul Saladino is a fucking carb addict. I'm not like strict carnivore where I'll say all carbohydrates are bad and there's no place for carbohydrates, but this is pretty ridiculous. This is only his second breakfast and there's virtually no fat to be seen.
Carbohydrate sources. So at the beginning of this video, I told you there were
Just
a couple
carbs.
of things in the video that were new for me. One of the things I've been experimenting with recently are starches, and a lot of them didn't work for me. The whole reason I got started on this health journey was that my eczema and asthma were problematic for me, and doing a carnivore diet originally helped reverse a lot of those things. Being keto on a carnivore diet didn't work for my body. I had electrolyte insufficiency and felt generally horrible. In the beginning it was great, then it went downhill at the end. So I feel better with carbohydrates. For most of the last 4.5 years, I've eaten.
Also has to be said that the kind of keto diet he was on was still a cooked processed diet. Like even I'll give the easy example. This is not the full argument, but the easy example is out in nature in the wild, when you kill an animal and you eat its flesh raw, it still has an amount of carbohydrates actually circulating in its muscle tissue, compared to, you know, when the meat's old and then when the meat's cooked, there is far less of like that natural balance that would actually allow you to purely focus on mostly animal foods.
Exclusively fruit for carbohydrates, fruit and squash. Squash is technically a fruit. There's a lot of bio-individuality in who we are as humans. We don't all react the same way to certain foods.
Nah, that's fucking cognitive dissonance. We don't all react to the same foods. There's just some mystical like fucking gene key, numerology, astrology to how we eat certain foods. Like this guy literally preaches and prides himself, I guess. He builds his authority on the fact that he uses some level of science and understanding to back his claims, saying that, yeah, everyone's just different, there's individuality, without kind of giving any example or explanation, is the complete antithesis of that. So I would say, I mean, sure, people are different in like the terrain of their body, what toxins they're dealing with, what deficiencies and weaknesses they're dealing with. That might change how you'd approach their diet, but fundamentally, humans always thrive on the same inputs. It just means that sometimes we need to give those inputs in slightly different ways, if that makes sense. For example, some person, we need good amounts of raw fat to thrive and be healthy. Some people may do better due to digestive weakness on goat's milk versus cow's milk, or kefir, fermented dairy, versus completely fresh. And this just has to do with the condition and terrain of our body, not some like fucking woo-woo big picture. Yeah, everyone's different. My ancestor ate beans and rice, so I should eat that too. No, Paul, shut the fuck up.
I tend to have a very sensitive immune system, which means that I don't react well to all foods. I know I don't do well with tomatoes, for instance, which are a fruit, because they're...
The fact that it's been like 10 years, Paul, the fact that it's been 10 years and you've gone down this whole health rabbit hole and you still have digestive sensitivities tells me that you've actually done no healing whatsoever. You haven't actually healed the gut, remodeled the gut lining, done all those things, removed any sort of waste that would cause the permeability in the gut, for example, in the first place. He has done none of that. He has only like slightly improved his nutritional inputs, meaning he's getting more of like the correct building blocks, you know, more macronutrients, more micronutrients. So he's functioning at a somewhat higher level, but he's not actually creating the best environment, which comes more into the bacteria and the enzymes and the actual cleanliness of the food, meaning it hasn't been completely mutilated and toxins haven't been created, which would create the circumstance where he could actually heal and progress his health. He has just gone from like operating at say 50% to 55%, when truly he's like getting nowhere close to actually 100%.
A nightshade.
Indicative
White
by
rice,
why he still can't tolerate shit, which
foggy.
I'm not saying that these are like healthy to eat, but if you have issues that still stick around and you become dependent on avoiding them, even though you should avoid them, but you become dependent on avoiding them, long term, it just shows that you're not actually healing.
A little bit bloated. And when I look at the health profile of rice, it's very hard to eliminate the arsenic, the heavy metals in rice. So then I landed
rice
on
is
yucca,
obviously
which
shit.
is easy to get here in Costa Rica.
Bro, come on.
This root, it looks like a big brown root.
It's like just because Fruit Loops are toxic doesn't mean I need to look for a natural Fruit Loop alternative. It just means Fruit Loops are toxic and I should probably just eat a natural diet.
Maybe it looks like a big poo. You have to prepare it a certain way. You can't just eat yucca raw because it does.
What does that tell you? The fact that you actually have to prepare it with food processing, which is what cooking is, likely means it's not going to be natural to our diet, which, that's like an appeal to nature fallacy. But then the second thing that you would potentially draw from that is it doesn't actually have the physical makeup, the nutritional makeup that would be purely optimal to what we're evolved to consume and thrive on, at the very least. So it's like there's toxins in it when it's uncooked, and when you cook it, you just mutilate and restructure those toxins even more to the point where you can tolerate it, but that doesn't mean it's actually still edible, if that makes sense.
Have cyanide and cyanide-containing compounds in the skin. So to make this yucca, I had to cut the yucca up, I had to peel the yucca, I have to boil the yucca.
This is famine
then
food.
I have to pull out, there's a little spine.
Paul Saladino's
diet
in 2026
a lot of work
is
to get to this.
famine peasant
I've experimented, like I said, with multiple starches. I even tried sourdough, guys, and I think it's triggering.
Why the fuck do you need to experiment with so many things?
So I've been trying to incorporate those foods in my diet. The whole point of being healthy is to eat good foods and to feel good, but to have as varied and interesting a diet.
The whole point of being healthy, when he's saying, is to be as varied of a diet. I think that when you're truly healthy, you can have as varied of a diet because you make your body so functional and resilient to any kind of toxins or issues that, you eat the odd cooked starch here or there, or you have like some nightshades or something that's slightly less optimal, you'll be completely fine because all your issues are healed by fact of having perfect health. It doesn't mean that you should be doing those things. And I don't think he gives a single reason as to why he thinks that.
As you can possibly have. So I'm not sure.
Actually, the only exception I'll say to the variance of diet is with the raw foods, maybe like the fermented rotten foods, you will get like a higher variety of bacteria, which for sure is going to be beneficial.
I'm trying to limit myself. I'm not trying to be dogmatic.
Literally everything he just said was dogmatic. Him saying that you need to have a varied diet without actually giving any reasoning, that is complete dogma. So he kind of lacks a bit of self-awareness, or maybe it's like a IQ issue, I don't know.
I let that all go many years ago when I stopped being a strict carnivore, but I am trying to understand what works best for my body. Again, what works best for me may not work well for you.
That's fucking dogma, without actually explaining a mechanism or a line of reasoning as to why we have this, individuality, which I already explained it. It's like has to do with terrain or internal condition of the body. He's still following and ascribing to a dogma.
Maybe there are some of you watching who do have food sensitivities and will find value in that. So I don't think even single ingredient foods work for all people. Figure out what works for you on the carbohydrate side. Maybe it's just fruit and squash. Maybe you can do potatoes. Maybe cassava is better. Maybe sweet potatoes work for you. Maybe you're not as sensitive as I am to oxalates. I've got about
this is all dogma. Like, it sounds like he's virtue signaling. This is like when women fucking talk about how, some girls just feel like they need to express themselves sexually. And he's like phrasing everything in a way where he doesn't want to offend anyone, but it's mainly because he's just like projecting his own need to not actually want to be criticized or judged or actually exposed for like his ignorant line of thinking.
Ounces, maybe 6 ounces of a grass-fed skirt steak.
That's
here.
Fucking disgusting, bro. Just eat it raw.
I cooked it on the grill. I've got some sea salt on there. When it comes to salt, I think a lot about salts. We did a whole collaboration with the ABNRF.
Like, he spends his day just thinking about salt. I don't do that.
Where we tested heavy metals in many salts, and we were surprised to find that a lot of common...
The other thing I'll say, I'm interrupting this too much, but the other thing I'll say is, like, don't think about health in every fucking waking moment of your day. Health is a tool to live your life. You're not living your life to think about health. That's just retarded. And the fact that you are maybe tells me, I would assume, I'm just kind of like fucking tearing you apart, but it would maybe tell me that your health philosophy and your approach isn't really working for you because you're constantly having to think of new solutions and new angles because maybe you're just not actually feeling good. I feel good. I don't think about health. I know a lot about health because I put in the work to get here in the first place. Obviously, I coach people and I make these videos and I do a lot around health. But aside from like the work I do, which is intentional there, it's not a focus or thought for me because I'm living my life. I feel good. My health is already covered, as it should be.
Salts, especially popular salts in health communities, had significant amounts of heavy metals. I don't have any affiliation with
Bro, same thing as the coffee. It's like a slightly less shit rock. Well done.
To have no significant heavy metals. So diamond
some
kosher
people are
is
gonna
cheap, and I can get it easily. I bring big boxes to Costa Rica, so that's what's on there is a diamond kosher salt. I'm thinking about toxins in my food and trying to eliminate those as much as possible. This may not look like the most visually appealing breakfast, but
It
man,
doesn't.
this is a very nutrient-rich breakfast.
No, it's not.
And I'm trying to have
How
high
the fuck do you
nutrients,
think it is?
low-
Like, does he not realize that all of the micronutrients in the steak, which is the only thing that actually has much of anything, is just being completely cooked away and destroyed?
toxins and high digestibility.
Bro, this is all toxins right here.
Now it's time to eat my second breakfast, and then we'll get on with the day. And next will be a little mid-afternoon snack. And I'm continuing to add up the macros for everything. If you stick around to the end of the video, I'll show
My
you
goal
the
one
macros
day
and my
is to get
caloric
as
breakdown for
natural
my
on camera
entire day.
as
So what
Paul
do I have in
Saladino.
the afternoon commonly? We've got something like raw Greek yogurt, and I put in some banana.
He said raw Greek yogurt. That's not possible. For you guys that don't know, Greek yogurt needs to be heated at around 40 degrees, I think at the lowest, 45 maybe, in order to actually turn it from milk or kefir or whatever the process is actually into yogurt though. You can't actually buy raw yogurt. You can buy yogurt made from raw milk, but in the actual yogurt making process, there's always heat involved.
I've got a duck egg yolk in there. You think it's gross, but it's actually amazing.
Bro.
And I put a little bit of the Lineage honey.
He's a carb addict.
little
One
extra
fucking egg
protein.
yolk. Congrats.
I'll get a few of the meat
More
sticks
salt.
from Lineage. At this point
Carb
in the day, some
addict and
people
salt
comment,
addict.
oh, you're eating a lot of sugar. Well, yes and no. Here's the deal. Processed sugar, stripped naked sucrose.
I think it is making him look shit as well. All of the AGEs that he's getting from that. But no, yeah, definitely a carb addict.
Causes dysbiosis at the level of your gut. Overgrowth, especially of gram-negative bacteria, leads to increase in something called lipopolysaccharide or endotoxin. That seeps into your bloodstream, and the resulting inflammation from increased levels of LPS can worsen.
Is it relevant? He has a really whiny voice. I don't know.
Can add fuel to the fire of metabolic dysfunction and insulin resistance. Honey doesn't do that. Fruit doesn't do that. So the bananas in here, the cantaloupe I had at breakfast, the fruit that I'll have at dinner, these do not fuel obesity. They do not fuel diabetes. They do not fuel insulin resistance. There's absolutely zero, read my lips, zero evidence that fruit leads to diabetes. In fact, there's lots of good evidence that fruit, even fruit juices, are healthy for humans. Obviously, you should eat carbohydrates. Read my lips, zero evidence that fruit leads to diabetes. In fact, there's lots of good evidence.
Right.
This video, I'm going to show you all my calories. I'm consuming a lot of carbohydrates. But remember, I also surfed for 2 hours this morning, and I'm going to get a workout this afternoon between my midday work session and my end of the day work session in the gym. I'm going to go ahead and eat this.
Okay, so obviously this whole video is about like what I eat in a day for longevity, but all of the longevity data shows, for example, in the residents of Hong Kong, the longest living life expectancy populations outside of like, the bullshit blue zone studies, which that's a whole different thing, how they like completely lied about all the numbers there. But the actual longest living populations in Hong Kong have the highest meat consumption. And then there's also a lot of research that just shows, for example, the actual inverse effect of exercising and how that leads to shorter lifespans, and how even like a more sedentary lifestyle, especially as you age on top of a good diet, is going to be more favorable. So what I eat in a day for longevity, his approach is for the most part pretty wrong, and then how he's living day to day is for the most part pretty wrong. And maybe philosophically the reason why he has all the salt, he has all the carbs, and he's constantly pushing his body to get into an adrenalized state is because he's truly lacking something inside. So that, I don't know what that might be. I know he doesn't have any kids though.
I'm going to get a little quick workout.
And he has a girlfriend who doesn't respect him because she's drinking coffee despite him not recommending it. It's a shit show. Paul, got to get your life sorted.
Come back and show you guys what I eat for dinner. Okay, it's right about 5 p.m. I go to sleep really early in Costa Rica, so I like to eat at least 2 to 3 hours before I go to sleep. So now it's dinner time. I'm going to finish eating by around 5:30. And yes, I will probably be in bed by 8:30 tonight because I get up around 5 a.m. or 5:30 to go surf. So what do I have here for dinner? I've got some grass-fed ground beef from the same local farm. Steak is amazing, but eating steak every day, even I don't want to do that. I want to get some, mix it up, and it's nice to have something that's a cheaper option. So,
bro, Paul Saladino is the epitome of a stimulation addict. I bet he has a porn addiction. I genuinely reckon he does. Although he may plug in like the Ethernet cables to his phone, so it's like no radiation, but I highly am of the opinion that he has a porn addiction because he's constantly trying to get stimulation from food, from salts, from toxins, from carbohydrates, and also from exercise.
We got
yeah,
ground beef here.
It was a pretty shit dinner.
Lineage honey on it.
The raw milk is the best part.
And I've got some salt. Meat is an incredible source of nutrients, guys. And I want to say something here. I believe that red meat, grass-fed ruminant animals, cows, bison, elk, antelope, deer, these are the single best source, the cleanest source of protein for humans on the planet today, hands down, period T, end of story, full stop. So one of the reasons I like whey protein is it's very...
Bro, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? How is he like talking about the actual animals themselves being the source of protein, and then he cuts to an ad shilling his shitty whey protein powder? It's not real.
It's called leucine. I think that a lot of people, men, but especially women, are leaving muscle growth, lean...
You don't need to think about that when you eat raw foods. It's just not, it's just, no one has ever needed to think about that when they've been on a raw diet.
Higher metabolism, ease of weight loss on the table by not getting enough leucine throughout the day. What am I talking about? If you hit the leucine threshold, for most people it's about 2.5 grams of leucine in a meal, you stimulate muscle protein synthesis. Even without lifting weights, you can stimulate muscle protein synthesis by getting enough leucine, by eclipsing the leucine threshold. Conversely, I think there's a big problem for a lot of people, men and women, that a lot of us are not eclipsing the leucine threshold on a daily basis and a single meal.
Bro, if you want to put on proper size, I know this is kind of funny coming from me because I'm not known for any crazy physique. I don't work out. Well, I do. I've been getting into it a little bit. I've been doing, you know, the odd push-ups and pull-ups here and there. And I've actually put on a bit of size. If you check out my Instagram, a little bit. But if you actually want to put on size in the gym, because maybe that's just your calling, your passion, or you earn your money from it, you know, maybe women respond better to you when you have it. Who am I to judge? Then you should get on raw foods, raw steaks, raw eggs. Yeah, and I do that. And I found it very easy to put on muscle from doing one push-up a day, just one.
Multiple meals a day, I'm thinking about stacking my protein throughout the day so that I'm getting 2.5 grams of leucine. 30 grams of whey protein gives you 2.5 grams of leucine. As you'll see with my breakfast, I'm going to have enough protein to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. And at dinner, I'll have enough protein, enough leucine containing animal proteins to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. So if you want to have an easier time losing weight, gaining muscle, or keeping muscle, make sure you're eclipsing
Bro, why is he fucking
multiple
shilling his
times a day.
products every 2
Right?
seconds?
How many times a day does my mother get 2.5 grams of leucine in a meal? Very rarely. So ladies, I'm talking to you. If you want leanness, if you want some musculature, you won't look like a bodybuilder, if you want ease of weight loss, make sure you're getting at least one meal a day where you're getting enough animal protein, 30 to 40 to 50 grams of animal protein, or whey protein, which is very high in leucine, to eclipse the leucine threshold to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. If you're missing that, you're missing a big piece of this. Got a little bit of liver here. I love eating some organs. You don't have to eat a ton. A hard and storable package I have breakfast helps. And I got a little raw liver, it's like an ounce. I'll do a few nights a week to get the extra organ multivitamin. Got a glass of raw milk from a local farm. I've been to the farm that makes this raw milk. I've seen the cows, I've seen the goats, and I know that's all clean, which is amazing. Back here I've got some Yukon, doing it twice a day now because I feel better with more calories. I've got some grass-fed butter on it. I've got some watermelon here for some fruit at dinner, which is going to be refreshing at the end of a hot day in Costa Rica. And then we've got some asparagus. Yeah, asparagus.
I'll hear what he has to say.
Bet you guys didn't expect to see anything green on my plate, but like I said earlier in the video, I've been experimenting with a few new foods, and I feel pretty decent with asparagus.
Why? Bro, I've been experimenting with fucking anal sex. Doesn't... What am I saying? What does that even mean? That's fucking crazy for me to say. But what does that have to do with anything? He's experimenting with it. Why?
It's nice to get some variety, different flavors, and so I'm open to incorporating a few vegetables, I guess technically yucca is a vegetable as well, into my diet as long as I feel good with them. This is what I've got for dinner tonight. So at the beginning of this video, I promised you that at the end of this day of eating, I would show you my macros, my calories, and my micronutrients. Let's get into the calories, the macros, and the micronutrients. I got 3,177 calories. So I'm not gaining weight. I stay right around 10% body fat, so clearly I'm burning that. Now,
but yeah, you know calories aren't actually real. They're measured in a closed system compared to what humans are, which is an open system. You could eat 1,000 calories. They could just pass through your digestive tract and you could shit all of them out without actually deriving any energy from them. That's not to say you will, but every food to some degree or another is more calorie efficient in terms of how much energy you're actually going to truly derive compared to just shit out.
I do have a lot of activity, but I also think
irrelevant.
The goal here is to be metabolically healthy and to have a high basal metabolism. You really don't lose weight out exercising your bad food. You lose weight improving your metabolic health at baseline and by having a higher base.
Lose weight. Why do you want to lose weight, bro? Just get fat, get healthy. After I have a wife and kids, I'm going to get like nice and chunky because for now, being lean only really serves me for the social media stuff. And then, yeah, I guess with girls.
Metabolism. You can see here, in this day I actually had a little more protein than usual. I had 195 grams of protein.
Yes, Paul, come on.
320 grams of carbohydrates from the yucca, from the honey, from the fruit, and I had 118 grams of fat. So what's the breakdown? Here are the macros. 25% protein, 42% carbohydrates, and 33% fat. Now, like I said, I'm eating a lot more carbohydrates now because I'm very active, but as I show in my blood work video, which I've released every 6 months to a year for the last few years, I'll put a link to the most recent one below. Very insulin sensitive. My fasting insulin is 3.1. My fasting
it's also like a perpetual cycle of self-sabotage, because the more carbohydrates he eats, the more, I guess, his nervous system becomes dysregulated, and the more exercise he feels he needs to do to self-regulate. So it's like a constant loop, and then he probably needs to throw in there like porn addiction, porn use. So it's just like all these self-destructive habits in cycle, because ultimately he doesn't have the perspective, the peace of mind, just eat a natural diet and chill and be content as is.
Glucose is 69, so I'm very insulin sensitive, even with 320 grams of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates do not make you obese, they do not make you diabetic, they do not do any of those things. So it's all healthy. And then I'll go over this in more detail in the chronometer video breakdown, but you can see the micronutrients here. Basically, everything is green. There are a few little wrinkles with chronometer that I'll point out in more detail in the future. Chronometer is not good at estimating vitamin E or vitamin K, but everything else is green here in the micronutrients of the day, which you would expect since I'm eating single ingredient foods and foods with label that your great grandmother would recognize all the ingredients. That's what food for humans is. So that's my calorie.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, zone out for a second. So like all of this shit, how the fuck does he think he's actually getting it when, for the meat at least, he's cooking it completely? Does he not know that it becomes destroyed, mutilated, cauterized, oxidized, all of that? Does he just think that the way he buys it, which is what he's actually measuring, he's measuring it in the condition he bought it in the raw state, is not the same as what he gets when he cooks it? Not real.
With chronometer that I'll point out
in
the future. Chronometer is not good at estimating vitamin E or vitamin K, but everything else is green here.
Yeah,
the micronutrients of the day, which you would expect since I'm eating single ingredient foods and foods with label that your great grandmother would recognize.
It's also pretty retarded and dystopian to let a vibe-coded calorie, macronutrient tracking app determine if you think you're healthy. It goes back to it. If you feel healthy, you're healthy. And without a doubt, unequivocally, you're going to feel healthy and look healthy. Looking healthy is important too. If you are eating your natural diet and you at the very least have the initial logic and foresight to take the action and take the steps to eat that way. And then from there, it's smooth sailing.
All the ingredients, that's what food for humans is. So that's my calorie, macronutrient, and micronutrient breakdown of what I eat today.
Cool.
And I took you guys through everything.
Some cool furniture.
I hope that helps. The goal of this video is not to give you a blueprint to copy and paste. I don't think everyone needs to eat like me, but the goal is to help you think about the first principles that I use to determine what I'm eating in a day. Right now,
bro, he says first principles. There was zero first principle thinking in any of this. There was no like advanced, coherent, logical reasoning. This was Paul Saladino, the carb addict, the porn addict, showing us what he binges on.
I feel really good in my life. My autoimmune symptoms are basically non-existent. My sleep is good. My libido is good. My workouts are good. I feel good throughout the day. I have good mental clarity throughout the day. I'm productive. So I'm in a good place. That's what I want for all of you. If you guys want more help with structuring your diet or figuring out what you should eat in a day, there's a
buy my supplements. Okay.
It covers carnivore, animal-based, and food for humans perspective. It's at my website, which is paulsaladinomd.com. I'll put a link to the eating guide.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching this video. It was like more of a reactive, fun one, compared to the usual educational stuff I do. If you do want to learn more and find out more about my actual health philosophy and approach, then I would recommend going to the pinned video on my YouTube homepage, the A to Z 40-minute health masterclass. That's like the best thing to watch to get a proper idea compared to just like watching me have a whinge at Paul Saladino. But thanks, guys.